why are you on the market? Is there something mentally wrong with you?
Every day, just go along dawn till sundown.
I love your store.
Ah, there's a lot of history here.
Pops, I'm Angelo Zeffirelli. Call me Zephyr. You're the one ruining the neighborhood.
I'm so tired of all this gentrify vacation crap.
You have to date the fourth guy that enters the office for 1 month.
Never mind her. Here's my number. Please. Oh.
Once in a lifetime, think of now.
So to what do I owe the pleasure? You here to steal my girlfriend again?
I didn't know you were gonna mention us to him.
I think tonight is perfect. He was thoughtful and funny.
There's a bit of an age difference.
Who cares? You'll get some moisturizer.
Something tells me he's going to be a really great kisser.
Why do you think?
Because I'm going to teach him.
I hear dating past your prime can be harrowing.
This is personal. I'm gonna take that store from you.
I think this is about revenge. How can you work for that guy?
Don't judge me.
What do you think?
They're fruits.
Is it just a coincidence that your last names are Buchie, Tucci, and Coochie?
Oh, what are you, a wise guy?
So live today.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for A Brooklyn Love Story. Video on demand, all digital platforms, Prime Video. Go check it out. It's so good. It's feel good, y'all. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. Joining me to talk all things A Brooklyn Love Story is legendary actor Michael Rispoli, who plays Don Muchie in A Brooklyn Love Story. Sir, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kuya. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks so much, man. I love this. Okay. I love the way you say Don Muchie because that was, I just like the rhythm of that too. So
same.
Good.
It's so awesome. I love it.
A Brooklyn Love Story. Well, listen, what I love about this movie is that, besides it's just like a heartwarming story and it brings Brooklyn back to life. I say back to life. Brooklyn's still there, brother. But, but it really kind of brings back a time in Brooklyn where the neighborhood was the king. Everybody in the neighborhood you had to, you mixed it up with everybody else in the neighborhood. And what I loved about doing this project is because Steve Feder, the writer and director, Jeff Mazzola, the producer, and Cortese, also writer producer, they really put this together, and they had to do it. I want to say kind of quick, maybe, and they had to jam it in, and there was a lot of uphill stuff, but they just did it with a big smile, and they got it done, and it was a lot of fun, Plus, I was reunited with with a bunch of the other guys, Dan Grimaldi and Vinny Pastore and Julian Mazzola. I met. That's Jeff's son, and he's terrific. They're all terrific in the film. But Steve Feder and I did a film called It Had to Be You many years ago, 20-something years ago, and we kind of stumbled into it because somebody had to drop out last minute. And I got a call and he said, "Hey man, you want to come and do this film, but we got to start working tomorrow." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, okay." And we did the film, and that was another, that was a great Steve Feder film. And we just remained friends ever since, So we get along. We really, we have a good vibe with each other,
Definitely. It's a family. One of the best things, I'm an actor filmmaker myself, is when you
Nice.
develop that set family, right? And
Yeah.
even though you don't know each other, you're coming in all with your hearts, that passion to do a project, and it instantly just builds, and you build this family, which you then take afterwards, even longer than the project. And talking
Yeah.
with you and talking to the rest of the cast, everybody showed love. They're like, "You got to talk to Michael. You got to talk to Mike." Vinny,
Yeah.
Steve, everybody was just so beautiful. But you guys have been doing this for so long, and it's been like a reunion of sorts. And it not only does that, I'm sure, is wonders as an actor, as this community that we have as filmmakers, but it also reflects on the scene. It reads without, anything. You could see that genuine connection, and it's just so beautiful.
Yeah. I listen, I hear you. So, when you got to jump in, right? Or when you're pressed for time because, small films are pressed for time. It really makes all the difference in the world if you're going to see Vinny on the set, or Dan Grimaldi or Steve Fender. I mean, he might be behind the camera, but still, because you already have you have an unspoken energy with each other, so you can rely on that, and then that just shows up in the scenes. It shows up in the now the I didn't know everybody in the film, but of course I was, I only had, I had the scene there, and he's terrific, but you just get each other's energy and you build off each other, and then you can work, and then you kick it around a little bit, a little improv. Like Kuya, when you do your films and stuff, do you often use a lot of I mean, do you use people you've used before in your films? Do you know the actors and everybody else that you've used before?
I will say for the most part, because I do a lot of security industrials. I live in the DC area,
Right.
and it's more so for certain countries, and they have to have certain clearances. So that is the case. But I would say kind of like with the family that you guys have there in the New Yorker family. I kind of know, as filmmakers, we know certain sets that kind of
Yeah.
come together to create. I probably would be doing the same thing. I'm hoping to build my set family to that degree as well, because there's trust.
Yes.
We all know time, money that it takes to create film. So you definitely want to build people and work with people that will commit, do good work, and make sure it all runs smoothly.
And you know what, man? You said the golden word there. It's trust, because once you're working with people that you can trust them. Because listen, you go onto a set, any set. I've been in a lot of projects, and if you start at the beginning of the film and you don't know the other actors per se, but you know of them and what have you, well, you got to build it up. You build that trust with everybody along the way. Sometimes you go into a film or a project and you're halfway, they've already shot half of it. You don't know if you're stepping into a hornet's nest, or like, everything is running smooth like a Swiss watch. You have no idea. So but it all comes down to the trust, because if you're stepping in, hey, I know this guy, I know that filmmaker, I know the DP. This is the set family that you are talking about, Kuya. And besides just the actors, just the talent that way, the behind the camera talent. When you know them, you go, hey, I can trust this. I know where I'm at. I don't have to spend all this extra energy trying to find my place, Because the biggest thing in a film, and I learned this a long time ago. I come from stage, and I had I say an old timer. Now I'm an old timer, but I remember him telling me, he was great. Victor Argo was his name, and he said, and I learned this from the stage when I was studying. Every ensemble, because it's an ensemble piece. This is an ensemble piece, and it's so important. There's all different characters, and everybody's got their moments, and it makes the film come together so beautifully. It's like an orchestra, and everybody plays a different instrument, and you got to know your part and play that melody when it's time. And if you get your solo, you get your solo, but somebody's an oboe, somebody else is a bass, somebody else is the tuba, somebody's a violin, and you just have to know where you are in that orchestra in order to make the beautiful music. Now that sounds a little bit,
No, it's
maybe
real
it
tough.
sounds a little flighty, but that's what it comes down to, knowing that you're part of the orchestra, and what instrument that what instrument you have to play to add to the beauty of the whole thing. So
Definitely. Oh, completely agree. It's I always say when I'm reviewing projects, and because I hate to diss any project, because while one person might not be so good in it, it takes a whole village. So why would you diss a whole film when so many people put their hard work into it? You just never know.
No, you never know. It's completely collaborative. Now I have to put my glass on. I didn't want to have the
You're good.
the thing. But now Michael, who I didn't have any scenes with, unfortunately, but he's terrific, man. I'm like, whoa, man, this guy's great. I mean, I loved meeting him, and then Katie McCarty. I mean, I was like, wow, man. Besides a beautiful woman, I don't even want to talk about how beautiful she is, because she is. I just want to, say like their chemistry, their talent and everything else. So you get surprised by the people that you don't know too. You get surprised in a good way that way. Yeah, let me take these off, because I can't. It just seems like it's flaring.
No worries. But I completely agree. But I want to say some words that Steve had for you. I don't know if you saw the interview with Steve, but he had to have you in this film. And with your busy schedule, and even Vinny was like, you got to talk to Michael. I talked to Vinny yesterday. You got to talk to Michael. Michael's about to blow up. I hope you can get him. I'm like, fingers crossed. We're working on it right now, and thankfully, you and I are talking right now.
Absolutely.
And I want to talk about that music thing too, by the way, because you're killing it from what I hear. But Steve wrote this role for you. He had to have you in here and make it fit with your schedule. Can you tell me just
so
listen, Don Muchie?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you this. So Steve calls up and he's telling me I got to do, he wants me to do the film, and it's like fantastic. I'd love to do another film with you. I happened to get cast in another movie at the time. Now, on top of that, my son was getting married, so I'm juggling this other film, and I don't do much in the other film, but I had to. But they needed me on specific days for like a number of weeks in a row, and so it didn't matter if it was like I can do it all in a week and I'd be done, it would be different, but they needed me on very specific days, location, had everything to do with it. And then on top of that, my son is getting married, so I'm dealing with the wedding plans and everything else. And then Steve calls up and goes, I got this film and I want you to do this film, and I want to be in it. I'm like, Steve, you got me in a really busy time. I would love to do this film. I want to do it with you, but I had to shovel it around and everything. And Steve was so great because he made sure that the days I had to be there, like I could fit it in, like right, I had to land right in there between the other thing and my obligations to my son's wedding and the other project. And Steve made it work, which is even more of a miracle on a small film. I don't want to keep saying it's a small film. It's got a huge heart, but when you're on a tight number of shooting days, it's really hard to like fit everything in. And he made sure he did it. And that's why he's a champ, man. I mean, Steve's a champ. He is. He's just, he's great. And then I got to see Vinny when I go to the set one day and I see Vinny, and I haven't seen Vinny in a long time. And I love Vinny, I mean, we know each other for years and years and years. He's always so positive, Vinny's like, he's positive. He's like, yeah, I want to do that. He called me up. I said, sure, I'm free. And that's the kind of spirit you need, when you're doing an indie, because you don't have the luxury of money. You don't have the luxury of time, but you got to have that generosity of spirit to give to an indie. And everybody's got to show up and hit their, hit it, you got to hit it right out of the park if you can, in that short period of time that you have to do it in. So it's a generosity of spirit, or a spirit of generosity, that is important in doing a film. And Steve's got it in spades. He's just always positive. And then, of course, the cast he put together, same way.
Definitely. Well, it's a credit to the work you do. It's a credit to the set family that we build, and just that respect. And there's a lot of respect and love. And Vinny sends his love, man. Everybody, they're like, you got to talk to this guy, that guy. He's amazing. Yeah. Send him my love. I feel like I'm part of the family, and I'm just.
You're part of the family, Kuya. You are now part of the family. It's just great meeting you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, sir. So again, let me remind everybody, Brooklyn Love Story, streaming on all VOD platforms right now. Go check it out. Prime Video, the amazing Michael Rispoli, Don Buchie. You're a legend, sir. From theater to Sopranos to everything. But you're also doing music. Vinny was like, you got to talk to him about the music. He's like really hitting it off right now.
No. Wait a minute, hold on. I'm not doing a music video. Did anybody say I was doing
a music video? But you're doing something major that he was like, you got going on.
He's really is Vinny saying that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now there's a movie coming out called Alto Nights with Robert De Niro. He plays two roles. He plays two different guys, the lead guys. He plays two different guys, a little bit of makeup, and then of course he transforms himself. And I'm in that film. That'll be out in March, and I'm looking forward to that.
Okay,
it's great being on the set with him. And then there's another movie called
Vinny has the Crazy Horse stuff. Vinny has his Crazy Horse music stuff. Maybe I'm
Vinny does.
His band.
Yeah. But no, Vinny's always doing something, man. The guy, he doesn't sit still, man. God bless him.
Yeah. So Alto Nights dropping in March.
In March, yeah. Yep.
Okay. Please, right. when you start doing promo on that, I'd love to have you back to talk about that.
Let's talk, man. We'll talk again.
Awesome. So Brooklyn Love Story out right now, and
Love Story, it's out right now. You got to catch it. You got to watch it. It's perfect for this time of year.
Definitely. And are you doing the Sopranos talks with Vinny?
No, I am not. I'm not doing the Sopranos stuff. I mean, Vinny's, listen, again, this is what I mean. Vinny's always such a bit, he's a busy
Vinny's a
guy.
promo artist. Let me tell you. He
Oh,
was like,
he's amazing.
I was trying
He's
to get it in
amazing.
there
And
for him.
he deserves all of that he gets, because he was obviously legendary in that show. And just as a guy, just as a genuine human being, I mean, so, he deserves all the good things. And all, like I say, it was great. Look, Dan Grimaldi, he was on The Sopranos. Longer than me. I was only on there for a little bit, but all those guys, whenever we see each other, it's a big hearty hug and a big hearty, laugh, and it's nice, so I love it. I'm glad Vinny's doing that.
I just want to make sure I get all promos in for anything you got going on. So I just wouldn't want to.
There's something called Nonnas, 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 and it's Vince Vaughn. And I was talking about the Sopranos. Lorraine Bracco is in it, and I mean, now I'm on the spot here. Hold on a second. Oh man, legendary actresses are in this movie. But Lorraine, you mentioned The Sopranos, and then
Vince Vaughn, Susan Sarandon, Lauren Bracco, Linda Cardellini.
Thank you.
Talia Shire, Drea De Matteo, Joe
well, listen, Drea is the other one. I mean, you were talking about Sopranos, and I started like trying to think of the Sopranos, but yeah, Talia Shire and Susan Sarandon and Vicky's amazing. So, anyways, all of these people, that is another beautiful story. It takes place Brooklyn, Staten Island. And that's supposed to be coming out in the spring as well. So, it's called.
So when that drops, please, let's come back and talk about that.
I'll talk more. You got it.
Let's go. Yeah. I remembered one more question, if you don't mind, Michael.
I don't mind.
Because we're talking Brooklyn love story. One of the things I was asking everybody else is, do you have a particular Brooklyn love story?
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that. When I I moved into the city to study acting, and I lived in Manhattan. And my girlfriend at the time lived in Brooklyn Heights. And I would go, and so I was there with, her all the time. Then we moved in, together and stuff. So I got introduced. Well, first of all, my whole father's side of the family is from Brooklyn, But I just remember living in Brooklyn Heights for a little over a year, right like 2 blocks from the promenade, going down to Montague Street. And it was like, I'm going to acting school. There's my girl, we would meet the different, whether it's hot out, and then when the snow's falling, walking on the promenade, seeing the lights, which look like a huge necklace, the Brooklyn Bridge. It's like a huge necklace. You see it from, the promenade. So I was like, wow, here I am in the city in legendary Brooklyn. I'm living there where my father was from and my grandparents were from and everything. So, I mean, I just was always in love with Brooklyn because we go down and visit the cousins and stuff. But now there I am, walking the streets and living there and living a pretty darn good life at the time, So it was great. That's my love story. Yeah.
I love it. And do you have a particular spot in Brooklyn that you would recommend to anybody coming to visit? I got fam in Brooklyn, so I want to know where I should go eat at.
Oh, listen,
what's an old school place that's been around?
Well, listen, man. I mean, I only know that I lived there. I lived in Brooklyn Heights for a while. And then I lived in Cobble Hill for a little while, and which is only a little bit further out. And now that's all blown up. That's great. But you got to go to you have to go to the old classics, I guess. I mean, that are in Brooklyn. I loved Montague Street because of all the bars and shops. But there's a restaurant called Gargiulo's that's out in Coney Island.
Okay.
It's been there for 100 years, and it's great. It's still great Italian food. That's out there in Coney Island. That's great. Of course, if you go to Coney Island, you got to go to Nathan's and everything like that. There's a fair going at Christmas time on 86th Street in Brooklyn. Now it's huge with all the Christmas lights and everybody gets together. That's 86th Street. I forget the name of what they call it. I don't think it's called the 86th Street Fair, but that's going on like right now. Okay. So it's like blocks long and everything else, I mean, listen, man, Brooklyn, anywhere you go in Brooklyn is legendary. I mean, it kind of is, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So,
definitely.
But you got to still go to the Brooklyn Bridge, man. If you talk about Brooklyn, getting into Brooklyn, you got to go to Brooklyn. Walk the Brooklyn Bridge. If you come this time of year, though, it's going to be cold. But walk the
True.
Brooklyn Bridge, man. You know, you
Yeah.
got
Oh, I
to.
plan to. I got family in Brooklyn, so I'm definitely planning to
Nice.
go the next time. What did you think from the switch from Narrows to a Brooklyn Love Story? Because the film was once called Narrows.
Yes, well, I love a Brooklyn Love Story because I think that sums it up. I mean, that sums it up, Michael and Katie, and what happens there, plus the love of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that it works. It works great. Narrows, you'd really have to kind of know what they mean by the narrows because that's the narrows. Where the water is over there. So you would have to know what that meant for Brooklyn. But
Yeah.
this, it kind of ties it up. They fall in love and you fall in love with the neighborhood and all the characters.
Definitely. Well, we fell in love with Don Muchie Buchie,
Well,
and we
Tom,
love you, Michael.
thank you,
Again,
man.
sir, it is a
I
pleasure and an
appreciate
honor to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And when something else happens like that, I'll make sure to get in touch with you.
I love it. Everybody,
All right.
Michael Rispoli, aka Don Muchie Buchie, in A Brooklyn
Yeah.
Love Story, playing right now on VOD, all digital platforms, Prime Video. Go check it out. Thank you, sir. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World.
Thank you, Kuya. Take care.
Thank you.
Hello?
Oh, sir, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, man. Can you see me?
Not yet. Not yet.
Hold on. Let me see what I got to do. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
I'm sorry, man. My glasses look like they're
There's some glare, but it's okay. I can work with it.
okay. How you doing, man?
I'm well. Thank you for your time. I won't take up too much, but I appreciate you giving me some of it to just talk about this film.
Sure, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you want to know?
Just, we'll talk a little bit about the film, what you got going on as well. But just,
All right.
kind of like a family reunion of sorts with,
Well,
Vinny
what's
and Steve, everybody, we show love. It takes a lot of work, to put on a film. So we just kind of want to give a little love back.
Okay, man. That's great. Where are you, by the way?
Washington, D.C. area.
Oh, great, man. That's terrific. That's great.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, a Brooklyn Love Story. I love working on it because I was reunited with Steve Feder, who is a dear old friend from many years ago. We did a film that I kind of stumbled into.
Well, Michael, before we get going, I want to bring this in real quick, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, brother.
No worries. I love that you got the energy already. So let me bring us in real quick, and then we'll get to talking. And thank you again. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I am recording now. Hold on, let me hit recording. All right, sir. I'm just gonna do a 3, 2, 1. Bring us in, introduce you, and we'll get into the conversation.
Listen, man, that sounds great. And what do I call you, Patrick?
Yeah, you can call me Patrick.
Or Pat? What do you get called?
Well, hosting I go by Kuya, which means
Kuya.
big brother.
Kuya.
But, yeah.
That's what I'm going to call you. Okay, good. Let's bring me in.
All right, sir. Thank you. All right, here we go. In a 1, 2, 3.